Welcome back, guys. Now, the date is the 15th of February 2020, just a day after Valentine's Day, which is meant to be a day for love. On this day, the 15th of February 2020, 38-year-old Amie Harwick was unfortunately found deceased by police after allegedly being thrown over the third-story balcony of her home in Hollywood. Amie Harwick was a career sex therapist and a very thriving one at that. She had a lot of loved ones, a lot of family. So then it was begging the question, who would have done this to her or who would want to do this to her? And then the first likely response to that question was her ex-boyfriend by name Gareth Pursehouse, and he was actually arrested accordingly by police as the main suspect. I'll pause here and then I'll break it down. So this is how things go. I've said this before in some of my previous videos and I'm going to say it again, although this is a bit different from what I said earlier. If you are dating or if you are in a relationship with somebody or you are even married to somebody, God forbid that person is found dead, you, whichever gender you are going to be the first suspect. Most often, police would have you as the first suspect. They may tell you or not, but trust you me, you are going to be the first or at least one of the first suspects. And you would have to be cleared before suspicion moves from you to other people. It is a classic investigating theory, and that is how it goes. Usually, look at the partner first. And there have been instances where the partner turns out to be innocent. There have been instances where the partner turns out to be guilty. So it can go either way. But the little twist as that is being applied here is, in this case, it wasn't Amie Harwick's boyfriend who was the main suspect here, but rather her ex-boyfriend by name Gareth Pursehouse. And I'm sure you'll be wondering why the ex-boyfriend. After all, his time has ended. She has moved on. So why should he be a suspect? And this is where the whole story begins to unravel, because it turns out that this is even a boyfriend that she dated for just 1.5 years. And guess what? This was about 10 years ago. So why should he still be a problem? Well, it turns out that he's finding challenges or he's having a problem moving on from Amie, such that he's stuck on her and he just can't let go. He finds ways to seek her out, even though she also tries to cut him off of her life and move on. So it's like they were stuck in a case of cat and mouse, sort of. And Amie did one good thing when she decided that she would seek out a restraining order against him, or better still, even a protective order, sorry. And she actually sought out two protective orders against him. The last one expired sometime in 2015. But little did anybody know that fast forward 5 years from there, this was going to happen. But I digress. Is he even guilty at all? Because in the eyes of the law, he is presumed innocent until proven guilty. So with this track record, he was the main suspect. And given the fact that this victim has actually taken a protective order against you, too, for that matter, it makes sense why the police would look at him as a suspect. So he was arrested. Now, at the time of his arrest, it was also observed that he had some scratch marks on him, marks that looked like he had fought with somebody. It is also important to note that when the body of Amie Harwick was examined, it was also discovered that she had been strangled and there were also signs of struggles on her body. So the link was being established. It went on to further say that, it turns out that Gareth Pursehouse was actually inside Amie's apartment when she came back without her notice. He had broken in and was lying in wait for her to do her this damage. So when this case came, it seemed like it's the case of the jealous ex. He did it, maybe he didn't do it. He did it, maybe he didn't do it. But evidence that has come up from that time to now seems to point to a strong case that he did it. In fact, his trial has started, and even his defense attorneys seem to be suggesting that he did it, but maybe circumstances are a bit different from what the prosecution is trying to push. So they are not really denying that he didn't do it, although he's pleading not guilty, but he's not denying the offense in its entirety. But I'll get to that bit. So digging deeper, they also found that in 2020, Amie met up with her ex, Gareth Pursehouse, at an event, an adult industry event, and they met there coincidentally. It wasn't a planned thing. Gareth was apparently there as a photographer, and Amie was also there as a guest. And in her line of work as a sex therapist, it's not surprising she would show up at such an event as a guest. I think it's in line. Now, when they met, per eyewitness accounts, she seemed scared of him, and he also seemed aggressive. Then she sort of tried to put her sex therapy or her therapist mode in and try to dial things down between him and her. But a witness is actually reported as saying that it was heard that Gareth was yelling at Amie that she had ruined his life. As to whether that is true or not is yet to be established. And if it's true, then the question is, what did she do to ruin his life? There could be something there, but hey, she is no more and she doesn't have the chance to speak for herself. So I'll leave it at that. According to further reports, it got heated from that point, and she was just trying to calm this guy down. And it's suspected that from that point, he was still trying to get in touch with her. She would try to cut him off, and he would try to seek her out, to the point that he was even readily reciting offhand text messages that they shared over 10 years ago. And all these were captured in a mail that Amie sent to herself, detailing what Gareth is doing, which is making her feel very uncomfortable, uneasy, and afraid. She allegedly even confided in a friend who suggested that maybe she should get some pepper spray and maybe even possibly a gun, just so she can proactively set herself up to protect herself from Gareth Pursehouse if he tried anything funny. But little did they know that Gareth was also planning something funny, actually. It's unfortunate she couldn't arm herself before then. But fast forward to the 15th of February 2020, Amie came back home, went into her Hollywood apartment. Little did she know that there was an unwanted guest who had laid siege, waiting upon her. And it turns out that it was Gareth, because it is now being pushed by the prosecution that Gareth actually broke into Amie's house and laid ambush waiting for her. And when she came in, he attacked her. Of one of the weapons that he actually had a syringe with a heavy dose of nicotine, with the intention of injecting it to Amie and then just getting rid of her. But it's alleged that there was a struggle between them, and then a roommate of Amie heard about the struggle and the screaming of Amie, and in that space, Gareth panicked and then started strangling Amie, and then eventually tossed her from the third balcony, where she also fell after she had actually died from the strangulation. That is the theory being pushed by the prosecution. But wait till you hear what the defense team of Gareth are also saying. And then you begin to understand what I meant by they are not denying him committing the offense altogether, because this is what they are saying. According to them, yes, Gareth went there with the nicotine needle. They are not denying that, because it's even reported that per the investigations, police went to Gareth's house to arrest him, and when they were there, they conducted a search and also found another needle, also heavily dosed with nicotine. So it was clear that he had access to all those ones. But then the question was, why? The prosecution are pushing the case that he was going to inject the nicotine into Amie Harwick and then eliminate her. But then his defense team are actually saying that that's not what he was going to do. He didn't even go there to take her life. He went there to out of desperation, actually, to try and see what he can reconcile with her, and that maybe the nicotine needle was meant for him. He brought it there to take his own life if his desperation and his last attempt at love failed. That is what they are pushing. I don't know if it's going to be successful though, but if you ask me, I'll tell you that I'm sitting on the fence. It can be any of these theories and many other ones as well. What the prosecution are saying is possible, and it is not far-fetched to have that theory that if he has been stuck on her for over a decade, then it means that it's very possible that he's becoming unhinged and he's becoming suicidal, or maybe even having murderous plots, because the question then is, how did he even get to know her house if he has cut her off? If she has cut him off, sorry, for about 10 years. If it's not that she didn't change residence and that she was staying at the same place she was staying when they were dating, then if it turns out she had moved to a new residence and some way, somehow, Gareth had found out where she stays, then the question is, how did he get to know? Did he stalk her? All these are crucial questions, because if you're able to stalk, then you are capable of doing other things as well. So I think that all these things will come clear as the trial unfolds. The evidence will keep coming out, and all these things will come clear. And for him to go to the extent of breaking and entering and laying ambush, I think that is an overboard thing. Everything seems to look like it was premeditated, but then the question is, to what end? Premeditated to do what? Is it to put out a last minute hoorah at love, or premeditated to go in there and end it all with her? That is where I'm on the fence on. But I don't think he's innocent of what he has done, because his own defense team are actually arguing that he didn't go there with the intention to take her life, but just that things got out of hand. Again, another theory is being pushed that Amie Harwick was not pushed from the third balcony or thrown from the third balcony, but that maybe in the course of the discussion, she was trying to lean away from Gareth by doing so over the frame of the third balcony, and then she fell in the process. Yeah. I'm trying to imagine that too. If you are trying to imagine that, you can let me know in the comment section. But that is another theory. And it's, in as much as some of us might feel that, can this really be possible? I think there's still that possibility, actually. Although it's not as easy to imagine as she being thrown off. But then again, the fact that you can't imagine it easily does not mean it's not possible to happen. It can actually happen. And since we are talking about a human life here, I think it's very important that we get to the bottom of the issue to find out what the facts are, and then a decision will eventually be made on the judgment or on the ruling. So This is how far the case has come. Footages have also been obtained of the suspect, Gareth Pursehouse, fleeing from the premises of Amie Harwick's house, and even when he was going in as well, he was captured by the CCTV camera on the ring doorbell of a neighbor of Amie. So that one is there, and at a point he was even trying to tamper with the camera and all. All those ones are there, and at this point, even though Garrett and his defense team are pleading not guilty, I don't think he's going to get off scot-free. I think the law already has him by the balls for that matter, and it's going to be a matter of whether the charge of murder, first-degree murder against him is going to stick, or he is going to be able to reduce it to manslaughter or something else. Because I don't think he can get out of this case scot-free. No. I think the evidence against him is so overwhelming that he might just have to put out a last hurrah in trying to get a lesser sentence of a sort. But I don't think he will get off scot-free. Not at all. And even if you look at the posture of his defense team, I think they also appreciate what I'm talking about. They may try to get a less stiffer sanction or sentence, but I hope if he's found guilty, I hope he gets the worst or the harshest punishment available for what he'll be found guilty of. Yeah, because a life has been lost. And I think that over the years, it's becoming one too many. Lives are being lost because of relationships, some in marriage, some in dating. And in this one, it's a dating thing, but it was actually over. I'm still not aware of what went into the breakup, who broke it up, why the breakup happened, and all. And also, what Gareth meant by the statement he's alleged to have made to Amie when they met at the adult industry ceremony, telling her that she ruined his life. What did she do? If he actually said that, then it's important we also find out what she did, because that could also bring more understanding and clarity to his motives, if any. Because as it stands now, it's looking like the motive could have been jealousy, unhingedness, and he's just not ready to let go. He's too emotionally attached. But there could be something else that is a stronger motive, which is yet to be found out. And I believe the investigations would have covered these things. I believe that as this case unfolds, a lot of things are going to come up. And I'm following the case. I'm following it, and I'll be bringing you updates as and when they are due. But then, my heart goes out to the family and loved ones of Amie Harwick. Nobody deserves to go out like that. And, sometimes you don't even know that a message you received or a call you received from somebody is actually the last thing the person is doing on this earth before they leave. Because one of her close friends actually sent her a text message, and she responded to the message, and just about 10 minutes afterwards, he got information that she was dead. That is how life is. And sometimes these things sends shivers down my spine, because at the end of the day, nobody really knows when their time is due. All we can do is hope for the best and do our best. But I think that if we also wake up and try to build a better society, people wouldn't have to have their lives coming to an end at the hands of people like this, if he did it, because he's still presumed innocent. But all I'm trying to say is, if we try to build a better society, such deaths would be reduced or eliminated altogether. You wouldn't have to have women losing their lives to exes who are refusing to let go, or husbands and boyfriends who are just not ready to respect them as who they are and the fact that they are also a human life, or vice versa. You wouldn't have some men, boyfriends, husbands, and all also losing their lives at the hands of their female spouses. I think the world will just be a better place. And hey, I'm not an idiot. I know how the world works, and I'm not speaking from a fairy tale perspective. I believe it's possible. I believe that we can all be nice and respect each other and still have our sense of pride and dignity intact. I don't think we lose anything if we decide to value human lives. Let me know what you think about this case. You think that she fell, or you think she was thrown by the ex-boyfriend, as the police seem to suggest? If that is the case, what do you think should be the punishment for him if he actually took her life? And let me know, what do you think about all this? And this is also another example of femicide. And if you've been following my channel, you know that I'm pushing a campaign against femicide because research has shown that femicide is one of the highest crime rates out there. Crimes against women are so much, and most of them actually lead to their deaths. Help my campaign against femicide by pushing our videos on femicide across, going to the comment section and also typing hashtag please stop the femicide or say no to femicide, and forwarding the videos to your various networks. Let's push this. We need our women and they need us. If we are stronger than them, let's protect them. Let's not use our strength against them. And what hurts me most is when it's woman against woman, leading to femicide, like the Shanquilla Robinson case, allegedly. I think that we can all do better if we try. So, subscribe if you are yet to do so, turn on post notifications, and like I say, keep an eye out and stay safe out there. Catch you next time.